It says it's live.
We're gone?
It says live.
Okay. Well, hello. And you thought it'd never last. And you thought the weather could keep the webcamming diva away from the daddy dom of the home. He's here with me, TOXIK Johnson. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for doing this for me, for braving the streets of Baltimore, where we're probably all abuzz right now. This is TOXIK Johnson. He is an adult entertainer. He is a producer, director, writer, dancer, all-around entertainer for adult stuff.
Well, I'm very much happy to be here with you, and it's been a long time coming, so very much excited to be here and get this talk together.
Exactly. I have to, on a personal level, I have to really, really thank this gentleman, because on Facebook I am a superstar, but on YouTube I am a box office bomb. Until he agreed to be on HILLJAYNE Unfiltered, I had barely 100 subscribers. Now I'm pushing 250, which is still, but I would to him. I started promoting it, and that's one thing I can do. As you can see, if I can promote the hell out of something.
I love it.
And so a really big thanks to you, because I really feel that I've taken on a new. I really want to be that YouTube creator, like the Jeffree Stars and all them. I really want that. I have a message. Mm-hmm. You have a message. So let's get into your foray of adult entertainment. First of all, before you started, or maybe during, what was your day job? What was your specialty? What kind of job did you do before you got into adult entertainment?
I really kind of started. Oh God, I started with stripping. That was my first job. Like I didn't feel myself needing to be behind a counter somewhere. It wasn't until after I wanted to pursue a relationship that I was like, I'm going to take a step back from adult film, and I became a cashier, moved up from cashier to manager, moved up to, stock manager, which would put me as second command at my store. I'm not going to say the name because fuck them. But, I went back into adult film after losing that job. I had disagreement with management, and decided to go back into producing and directing and putting myself back out there to the world.
Oops. Just me. Oops. So I know in one of your videos you talk about they let you go because something you said on your YouTube cast, your YouTube blog. What was it? Because I need to know personally. What was the content that got them so angry?
Well, I went on Facebook Live after a gentleman came in and threatened one of my managers with a gun and her husband, and I wasn't finna stand for it at all. But after the incident, I had contacted the higher-ups, and I let them know that I wanted to close the store because not only was it not safe for my customers at the time, but it wasn't safe for my staff and it wasn't safe for my customers. So the gentleman stayed outside, and because he stayed outside, it just made me really uncomfortable. Even though I live in Baltimore City, and it's a rough place to grow up and everything like that, I'm not going to leave myself in a situation that's not conducive to, my safety or anyone else around me safety. Afterwards, I cussed his ass out on live. I didn't mention his name. I never mentioned anyone's name in my videos, but he knew who I was talking about, and he felt some type of way about it. And being as though I had like 3 days off, I wasn't finna answer my phone for him. So I made sure that I took those 3 days to get my mind together, because when you put in a situation like that, you really don't know how to react until you're in that situation. So I didn't know how I would react until, then, but I definitely felt unsafe being there at that particular time, and I knew when I woke up that it wasn't going to be a good day. But it is what it is. I'm very accepting of his decision, because I understand that he felt emasculated and he felt embarrassed, even though no one knew that I was talking about him specifically. But I didn't give a fuck, and I still don't. I feel like I stood in my stance, and I'm always going to.
See, this is one reason that I feel this kinship with you, and I have for a while now, because we seem to go through, and I'm a little bit older than you, but we seem to have gone through, you know, some of the same things in life. This past summer, I had a job that I loved. I'm a server, and I love waiting tables. When me and my ex were going through a horrendous breakup, he proceeded to call the place of my employment, and the girls that answered the phone were teenage girls, and he proceeded to tell them extremely invasive things about me, things that you can imagine. And one of them went home to Mama. Mama called the management the next day. And I was brought in the next day to work, and I was told that I was no longer an asset, that I was a liability. And truthfully, I totally agreed, because it was just outrageous. You briefly mentioned relationships, and with how do you sustain, or do you sustain when you're involved with someone, and you do?
Adult film?
Yeah.
It's difficult. Like, a lot of people, I'm pretty sure a lot of people understand that it is going to be difficult, because if you're not confident enough to believe in your love with someone, you're going to have a lot of disagreements. You're going to have a lot of emotions that you're not going to know what to do with. And if you can't properly communicate those feelings to your mate, whether it's an adult film star or a stripper, you're going to lose. For me, I'm all about communication. So if you can't open your mouth, I'm not going to know, and I'm not going to try to figure it out. You know, once you say I'm okay, then that's when I'm going to leave it, because you're an adult. You should be able to say, listen, I'm not really comfortable with this, and that. At the same time, I give everyone a heads up. When you come and start talking to me, I'm going to let you know that I'm not going to stop what I'm doing, making money, because you become uncomfortable. You may be comfortable when you walk in the door, when we start talking, but it's going to progress. When I leave Baltimore or leave whatever city I'm in and go fuck somebody else on video, and I come back home, you're going to feel some type of way. It's a natural reaction as a human being. You see what I'm saying? But me, as your mate, I'm going to try my best to comfort you and make sure that you do feel like you are my first priority. And that is why I prefer that my mate is in my bed, and I do communicate with them often. Even if I am on set, it's a text message. Hey, babe, at work. I don't mention I'm fucking somebody. I don't mention how the session is going. I feel like that's too much information. For respecting my mate is that number one priority. So it's like, all right, I'm here to get the money.
Exactly.
There is no phone calls at 12 o'clock. There is no text messages of the niggas or bitches that I'm having sex with. That shit is deaded on set. You know what I'm saying? Once I bust that nut, you can go about your business. You know, the footage is done. So that's how I handle it.
I like what you said, and I relate with that too. It's just my body, not my heart.
Exactly.
However, being an Aries, there is some, but I'm also the type, when I'm in a relationship, I'm not the girl who's going to go through your phone. I don't want to know. The whole thing with me is, if you get a phone call from a thought, don't go running out. Don't go running out the door, you know, and then not expecting me to say anything.
Yeah.
When you put it in my face, of course I'm going to wonder things. And cougars beat thoughts, by the way. But I've said before, when I was promoting this show to the people in Baltimore, y'all stupid. Because here's a single man who he's single and he is a husband. This isn't a fuckboy. I don't care what he does for a living. You're not a fuckboy.
Not even
no, you're not a fuckboy.
I'm a grown ass
I
man.
love one of these shows you said on his, and we're going to promote that in a minute, on his YouTube show, he said, I don't want my mate wearing Daisy Dukes if I tell you you can't wear it. And I love shit like that too. Now, of course, me, I would be pushing the envelope. What? You know, it's just, you know, but you know, I love that. You know, many transgendered women, particularly me, are very subservient. And I love for the man to be like that. I think it also shows if it's genuine. And at this age, I can tell usually who's genuine, who's disingenuous. You can tell who really means it and who's just acting the part.
Right.
So, tell me about little Toxic as a kid, growing up in the wonderful city of Baltimore. Baltimore.
Well, for me, I was shut in. I was sheltered, not from anyone. I did it myself. I had a lot of fear growing up, and the lack of support from my family members made me more shut in. And it kind of just it makes you a little bit hesitant with people. You know what I mean? So when I was growing up, I also looked to animals, and I was a bug catcher when I was growing up. I had my jars, I had my ant farm out in the back, like not the normal one that had a whole fish tank filled with dirt, and I could just see them up against the glass and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't really deal with people because I just felt like it was a lot of negativity from my family. So if it was from my family, it would be worse outside of my family. So yeah, I kind of kept to myself. But after I got out and my mom started taking me to the strip club and, you know,
Who started taking you?
My mom.
Your mom?
Oh, God, yes. My mom wasn't always, like, as pushing, like, she didn't used to push me away so much. And I've had a lot of disagreements with my mom. We're better now due to coronavirus. I've taken the necessary steps to start talking to my mom again and you know, checking on her and things like that. But at that particular time, she would take me to the club. She made sure I was safe. She was there. But I didn't feel like it was enough because of all of the pain that I felt prior to, you know, dealing with the men that she had chose to be with, and their lack of love for homosexuality. And at the time, I didn't have a real connection with my biological father because I felt like he didn't accept me for being who I am, and I didn't give a fuck afterwards. You know, once you see that the people who are supposed to be there for you don't care, you kind of cut yourself off to any kind of relationship with people. So I went to YouTube, and I went to social media and found that other people are out in the world feeling the same way. And when I found that, I embraced it. So now anytime that I feel like I have something to say, that's where I go. I don't go to people to express myself. I go to my social media platforms because the people on my social media platforms have a choice. You know, you can choose to listen and you can choose to turn it off. Mm-hmm. You know, and I let them know, you know, you don't have to give me your negativity. I have enough of that in my life. So you have a choice. You know what I mean? And I had that choice. And I chose not to hear feedback from people sitting in front of my face. I chose to allow it to stay on social media.
One of the greatest things, one of your videos, and I put it in one of our promos, if you don't like the video, turn the video off. Mm-hmm. Turn it off. And I love that, and I've repeated that. If you don't like it, turn it off. Don't comment. Don't do anything. Leave. And that's the truth. Now, I have a little... I'm very... You know, I've been... People love to tell me what they think of me. I can just imagine. This is what I really am excited to talk about. I can just imagine what you get. I know when I deleted Messenger from my Facebook because the amount of dick pics that I get from 3-inch white dicks, you know, and this is just being a webcam. I mean, I've made a little foray into some amateur blah, blah, blah. But most of my bread and butter is webcamming. Mm-hmm. And I try to explain, it's on my business card, I try to explain that is a character. I am not that person. I'm not constantly, baby, give it. But they want you to be like that. And when we talked on Instagram, or when we talked before, we talked about the $40 thing. Mm-hmm. And that's Baltimore's favorite number.
Yes.
So, what do you think of the fans of Adult Entertainment? And your fans in particular?
My fans, it's like a love-hate relationship. I love them for the attention, but I hate them for their lack of understanding. I want you to see what I do and love what I do, but I also want you to see past it to see me. And that is the reason for why I created the YouTube channel, so you are able to see more of me. It's not, my physique is going to change. My body is going to change. My dick's going to stop working at some point. And the only thing that's going to be left is my personality and the things that I like and you know, this person. And a lot of people, you know, they don't understand the difference between the character and the person. The character is the person that's fucking. The person that stands before you is me. The communication is me.
They think we're constantly, that's all we care about is sex, sex, sex. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you're already putting yourself out there like that. You're already, and it's like, I have to, you know, I had to create a character. And I called her Countess Cherie. I had to, because, with all due respect, I wasn't brought up that way. to show my goods in front of thousands or hundreds, whatever, of people. And I had a very cool mom too. My mom was Scarlett O'Hara. She was the bitch diva, and as she aged, she got more and more sweet, and in her twilight years, I took care of her, and she found God. And I'm not a religious person, but I just know how much comfort it brought her. So I'm grateful for that. But my mom too. We went to see Brokeback Mountain together. She would let me sneak in boyfriends at night.
Nope, I've never seen that movie.
And, I would go, you have to realize I came from Atlanta to North Carolina to take care of her, and I would say, Mom, I was with this guy last night, his dick was so big, I don't want to hear this, well, you have to, you're my only friend. And she would listen to me. And that's what I try to tell the young kids, is that it's okay if your parents don't understand you. Do you really want them to understand you? If my mom had ever liked any of my boyfriends, I wouldn't have been interested in them. As long as they accept you. My mom accepted me. She didn't understand it, but she accepted me. She I changed my name. Only thing she asked of me while she was still alive, don't get the change while I'm still alive. She wanted me to stay a drag queen. Just be young and fabulous and have the big hair and wear the funky clothes on the weekends. She was scared people were going to be mean to me.
Right.
And in the South, where I'm from, there is a difference, but that's why I migrated to Atlanta, where things are different. Where did you go to find that acceptance? You mentioned YouTube, but like when you were younger, where did you go to find the acceptance from peers and people like you?
It's funny that you said that you're not religious, because I worked in the church for over 3 years, and that is where I found me, and that's where I was able to accept myself. I found out I had some type of vocal ability. I found out that I was accepted, and I had people stand up for me, and there were times where I felt like, God didn't love me, didn't hear me, and all of those things. But once I started working as a janitor in the church, I found out that all Christians are not the same. And I found out that God doesn't really give a damn. Like, he really doesn't care. Like, if you sucking dick and you eating pussy, whatever, like, it is what it is. Like, ultimately, you have to be you. And you have to accept you, and it made me want to stand out proud and hold my head up and just be like, bitch, what? Like, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Even to the people in the church, they knew that I was an exotic dancer. Not all of them, but some of them, and they knew that I have done adult film before. But at the end of the day, like, if they was going to say, hey, you got to go, then I would have left. I mean, I stood in it. I stood in me. I found the piano in the sanctuary. I played on the piano. I sang from the highest of highs of all of my emotions, because at the time of me being there, I was going through a lot with my dad. But I got to experience a lot of different things about myself. I got to see me grow, and it was really amazing. And it was a blessing to be able to sit at that piano, instrument that I love to death. I never learned how to play one, but God, I sure didn't know how to hit a key. So, that's where I found myself more so. And I was maybe like 27 years old. Like, it took me that long to accept myself fully, to embrace me and find out that I'm not only sex. I'm able to do a lot more than just have sex on camera. It's nothing like when you step into a whole new place and find something new about you, something you didn't know. So when I sat at that piano and was able to sing, and they made me sing at a Christmas function at the church. Me and the secretary were very close, and she told me, like, hey, like, you're gonna sing this part. And I was like, no, the fuck I'm not either. And she was like, oh yeah, you are. Here are the lyrics. This is the time to be there. And I got my shit together. And when I'm cleaning the bathrooms, I put in my headphones and I had my lyrics on my phone, and I cleaned the toilets and I cleaned the floors and I listened to the song over and over. And I learned it, and I got up on that stage and I stuck my hands in my pockets. Funny thing is, I didn't know that I was rocking, and I didn't know that I had my hands in my pocket at the time of me singing. But I got up there and I sang the song, Mary Did You Know? And I did my little best, and my mom started bawling, crying. Like, she was bawling, crying because I did invite her. I invited my nana. Like, even though I might have felt a disagreement with our relationship, or felt a disconnect, I should say, she still showed up when I wanted her to be there. So it was just like, I have to make sure that I invite my mom. It's a big change in my life, and if I'm going to be in a church and I'm going to take on certain values from the church, then I should implement some type of forgiveness. So that's what I did.
I know for me, in the South, when I left Atlanta and went back to North Carolina, for me, the African American community was always very accepting of me. Mm-hmm. The mothers of the guys I dated loved me, and there was no disrespect whatsoever.
Oh, they do that. They do the hell out of that.
The Caucasian, you know, they gave me, you know, a lot of, and they're usually the ones who, you know, even today, I would say the haters are usually of my same race. And so, for me, you know, you are open, you're pansexual, you're open to...
I'm open to it all.
Open. You talked about on the video, everybody, you mentioned you're not very attracted to fat, you know, obese. If you're making a film with them, great, you know, you're definitely down. But what in your personal life, that's not your thing. For me, I made one professional adult film, and it was through Pornhub, and it was professional, and I sent them, this is back, you know, this actually wasn't that long ago, but I sent them an audition video, and they were interested, and they sent someone up from the district that I was in, and they called me and they said, we're interested in hiring you for a film. What's really in right now are older transsexuals with younger black guys. And I said, well, here I am. Now, when they get there, they have my co-star, who was white and maybe 2 years younger than me. So I did it, exactly. And it's funny because the whole video, I'm looking at myself in the monitor. It's absolutely horrendous. The only good thing I got out of that video is I got a professional photo session. And they wanted me to downplay my look. They didn't want me to be hello. They wanted me to be, I'm like, what? I said, that's not me, though. It was called Tranny Mills, and eventually I bought back the rights to it. I don't know where it is now. I bought back the rights, and I wasn't proud of it. And that's why, like, whenever I've done made forays into amateur, I don't want to be started with. I get all the money, you know, that kind of thing. So I discovered you when I was going through my breakup. I was on some different dating sites, and a friend of mine suggested one called Jack'd. And I noticed on Jack'd, as opposed to Grindr, the guys were cuter, in my opinion. Hello?
Someone's, yeah, I guess the messages coming through.
That's okay.
Okay.
Just ignore it. But we're going to take questions from fans in a minute. I'm going to show you something in just a minute. But I saw this guy who looked like my ex, looked like one of my ex, long dreads and everything. It was a profile shot. And so I sent him a, you know, being all brand, I'm a webcam, and I went da-da-da. And I just wasn't aware, you know, I did his pet peeve. His pet peeve is if you see him on the internet, please read his profile. And I didn't. And he was actually, you were very polite to me. But we kind of kept in touch. And then I discovered that you had, and I started following you on Twitter, and I subscribed to your OnlyFans. And
very much appreciated.
Yes. And then I knew you had your own YouTube thing, and then I really started watching and listening. And I started looking at some of the old ones. And maybe 6 weeks ago, I found this one. And this is YouTube. This is his YouTube show. It's called TJs Real Talk. He doesn't have an easy to remember URL yet. Mine doesn't either. But you can just put in the search engine TJs Real Talk. He's wearing a blue sweater. So in this, thank you. Sorry. In this, you get very personal.
Yes.
You talk about a friend of yours. Did the friend do your hair? Was the friend like your hairstyle?
Yes.
Friend of his. Long story short, he asked if she would wear a mask and she didn't, and he had to ask her because he doesn't live alone. He had to ask her to leave. And anyway, she ends up blocking him on social media and phone calls and everything, and it hurt him. And then you start talking about some of your issues as a youngster, and even today, and that you were having because of this. It brought back some of your suicidal tendencies.
Yeah.
As someone who is a survivor of 8 suicide attempts, and I have a condition called suicide ideation. I want to thank you for bringing that to the forefront. It was very personal, it was very brave. And for anyone that's watching now that's ever thought about suicide, 1-800-273-TALK, Suicide Prevention Hotline. I'm all over social media, particularly on YouTube and Instagram. I can be that 5 a.m. girl to you if you ever have any of those feelings. I know how it is. I choose not to at this particular time. The only thing that ever helps me is lithium, and that's the same stuff they put in batteries. And at this particular time, I just don't want what's in batteries to be in my body.
Right.
So I'm kind of winging it. And I have some, particularly this house where I lived with my ex, it's tough. It's tough.
Memories are big.
Yes, especially late at night. What made you go there? Was it a spur of the moment? Did you knew you were going to do it? And can you tell me a little bit about your issues with suicide?
Well, first let me say that thank you for letting me know, that you've had the same issues, because then that makes me closer to you and more likely to call when I feel, those kind of feelings.
And you definitely can. I would love to be your 5 a.m. girl. No, not like that. Now, see, I know, yes, I'm Hillary Mansfield, but I'm also, I know how it is, and I know there's nothing like it in the world, and people think we do it for attention.
Yeah.
So I can go outside and check the mailbox and get attention.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna,
It's not necessary. Like, I'm not a bad-looking guy, so I can get some
Exactly.
attention, but it's not about the attention. It's about the way it's presented. And first, let me also say that as far as the YouTube video is concerned, it was never planned. I never planned any one of my YouTube videos, ever. The only plan is to set up the camera. But as far as the topics, I let them come naturally. The situation at hand was basically, I have asthma, which makes me more susceptible to coronavirus. 9 times out of 10, because I have lung problems, I probably won't make it if I get it. So for me to request that the 2 people that have been so close to me for the last 3 years, people whose lives I've saved in a fire, for them not to take into consideration my feelings and my emotions and what could happen to me, it just was hard. It was hurtful, and it was like extremely painful. So
excuse me. Hold on, just a minute. Where are the questions?
I don't know.